boomers. For the last week or more, we have been discussing life after death and near death experiences, life after life. And in all of my research over the many years I've been doing this kind of research, Raymond Moody comes up as being one of the seminal researchers to lay the foundation for everything that we are doing in this regard here and everywhere else. So Raymond Moody had pioneered the whole idea of near-death experiences, NDEs he called it, and how his research has shaped an understanding of life, death, consciousness, mortality, immortality, love, peace, and transformation. So he dived into the mysteries of life and death, and he explored the groundbreaking work of a man who dared to ask the question, what happens when we die? And that is a question Plato answered as well, or questioned. His studies into near-death experiences have opened up a world of possibilities and invite us to think differently about our very existence. Raymond Moody is a philosopher, a psychologist, and physician, best known for coining the term near-death experiences in his 1975 bestseller Life After Life. He's written many more books too. And in fact, there's one I'm reading on Kindle called Proof of Life After Death. That takes a lot more research to prove such a thing. But those of us who have encountered our dearly loved ones who have passed, or maybe we have had near-death experiences, we don't need proof, but many people do. So over 5 decades, Raymond Moody has researched these profound, transformational experiences reported by people who were reported clinically dead, and then they were revived. His work was revolutionary because he brought systematic academic approaches to a phenomenon that had been considered mere myth or imagination. By interviewing hundreds and hundreds of individuals, he found common themes in their experiences: a sense of leaving one's body, encountering a tunnel, meeting deceased loved ones, and feeling a profound sense of peace and love. So what did he discover in his research? Through careful documentation, Dr. Raymond Moody identified common patterns in near-death experiences. People from different backgrounds and cultures and religions reported similar elements. Moving through the tunnel, seeing a brilliant light, beings and deceased relatives, and it was not limited to any specific faith or culture. It was a universal experience. He, in his book I'm reading, talks about 14 things that people have in common during these experiences. What happens when we die is what Plato asks as a question to his students. And there are 14 traits to summarize near-death experiences. Ineffability. In other words, there's no words to describe. People cannot find words, but they feel it. Ineffability. No words. They have feelings, and inner words are based on the feelings that they experience when they go through this. 2, they hear a death pronouncement from a doctor or someone else from afar. They're above the bed and they hear somebody pronounce them dead. Then 3, feelings of peace and quiet. And sometimes they hear a loud buzzing or they feel a loud, they might hear a loud ring that may be actually give them peace as well, or it might be very annoying. It could be pleasant and it could be annoying. They all experience a dark tunnel, and they are tumbling through space in this tunnel. And then they're out of body. The out of body experience. They view themselves from outside of themselves, viewing medical procedures, and coming back to tell about it, which is always amazing to the doctors because they describe everything that happened during maybe during a catheterization where the heart stops and they have to do resuscitation and whatever. They come back and they tell them about it. Then number 7, they meet other people whom they have known, and they meet spiritual beings who help through the transition into death and told it's not your time, and then they go back. Number 8 is a being of light that is so bright that it just has never, never have seen a light like it. It's so bright. And the earthly brilliance, they describe this brilliant light as, depending on their religious upbringing, Jesus, Mother Mary, maybe some of the saints that they have studied, Buddha, Krishna, that sort of thing. God, Mother Mary, angels. They may ask questions such as, are you ready to die? Or what did they accomplish in their life? Somebody is asking them this question, what have they accomplished? And are you ready to die? And 9, a life review happens the moment of extreme power, where they see their life flash before their eyes in extreme, distinct visions, which is something they've never experienced before. And then there's a border of limit. In other words, a limit which they would never return. If they cross that border, they will never return. The being of light might ask if she wanted to die, or when the being of light says, or if you say, I know nothing about death, they say, well, cross this line and you will learn. And apparently that has happened to more than one person. And then when the person crosses that border, they feel peace and love and a vanishing of all worries. There might be a situation where people do have unfinished business, but all those worries and all that stuff goes away. And then in the coming back of this experience, they may not want to return, but when they do, they return through the tunnel, which we described, into their physical bodies, and then they have an elevated state of consciousness that may last for many days. And then 12, they just don't want to tell anybody, especially before Raymond Moody had given people permission to tell their experiences. People have never told these experiences until because they had fear of being labeled as crazy or delusional. But Raymond Moody gives them permission, and people don't feel so alone after they have told their stories. And they don't have that fear of death anymore. They have, number 13, they have a positive effect on life, even if the person never tells anybody about it. The effect on their lives was profound and noticeable, and in some cases, they found themselves becoming more reflective and philosophical about their lives. And they had new goals suddenly. They had new goals, a new sense of purpose, new moral principles, and a renewed sense of determination to live in accordance with their new set of morals. And 14, they never feared death again. They just had a complete renewed sense of what happens when we die. So Why should we care about near-death experiences or what happens when we die? Because for many, these experiences do offer comfort, a sense of continuity. So, in other words, instead of thinking that when you die, that's it, and instead of rushing to get all of your goals done, you have a vision, you have a bucket list where you want these things to happen before you die. That lacks a continuity as to what happens when you die. You just think it's the end. And so you feel a sense of reassurance that death may not be the end. Dr. Moody, his research suggests that these accounts, whether scientifically explainable or not, have the power to transform lives by reducing fear of death, inspiring compassion, and encouraging people to live more meaningfully. So Dr. Moody is not just a scientist, he's also a philosopher, which brings a unique perspective to his research. He sees these experiences as gateways to understanding consciousness itself and believes that the mystery of death is inherently tied to our understanding of life itself. Moody often speaks about Plato's theories, including the idea of anamnesis, the notion that knowledge of the afterlife is already within us. And of course, you're always going to have skeptics. In fact, somebody commented on one of my recent YouTube videos about this wonderful topic that, oh my God, this is ridiculous. You are an idiot. But of course, there are skeptics, and I understand that. Many scientists argue that near-death experiences can be explained as neurobiological reactions to trauma. Others believe these experiences might stem from chemicals released in the brain during moments of crisis and during moments when you are dying. Moody, however, remains open to all perspectives, believing that science and spirituality can coexist in our search for truth. And of course, that does tell us how important it is to have an open mind in all things and to have open discussions, and may I say, meaningful discussions, because talking about death, leads to the most meaningful discussions I think you can have. So his legacy in the scientific community goes far beyond the scientific community. He has provided a framework for countless people to share their experiences without fear of ridicule. By pioneering the study of near-death experiences, he has helped reshape the conversation about death and has brought comfort to those wondering what lies beyond. So whether you believe in life after death or whether you see near-death experiences as fascinating brain phenomenon, Raymond Moody's work invites us to look deeper. As he himself says, quote, "It's not about proving life after death. It's about opening up to the mysteries of life itself." So thank you so much. Let me know what you think in the comments below. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. Just tell me what you think and we can have a discussion. There will be a video that shows up right here. And I appreciate your coming by and checking it out.